If you think you know how to cheat in football, wait till we get to the end of this video. Trust me, cheating is an art. Some have mastered this art more than others. And I'm not just talking about obvious cheats like match fixing, playing rough, or even flashing lights in your opponent's face to blind them like Senegal fans did to Salah right before he took a penalty against them. Cheating goes way back, and to be honest, was even more shady back in the day. What if I told you that a team once shrank their pitch one day before their game just so they could win, and they actually got away with it? There's also Juventus, who got demoted to Serie A after they were caught cheating. This is the entire history of cheating. To kick things off, let's head back to 1915. Not like footballers haven't been cheating before this time, but I'm starting here because this was the first time we had a match-fixing scandal between two major English teams, Manchester United and Liverpool. Both teams clashed in the league, but had completely different things to fight for. Well, maybe just Manchester United, because they were battling relegation, and Liverpool, they were completely safe. The game began and Liverpool players didn't start with their normal intensity. In fact, they weren't making any effort to score and even missed a penalty on purpose. It didn't take a genius to know that something was wrong, and at the end of the game, news came out that 7 Liverpool players placed bets before the game. They all bet that United would win 2-0, and the game did end 2-0. United got saved. Liverpool players made extra cash and Chelsea got relegated. Yeah, the players got extra cash, but they lost their jobs as they got banned for life. But what they did wasn't as terrible as what this Argentinian team did some years later. These guys were so desperate to win that they didn't mind doing something that could give their opponents serious injuries. In 1920, Chacarita had a home league match, and it wasn't just any league match, it was a decider. The winner would win the league. Chacarita couldn't afford to lose in their home, and I guess they didn't trust their skills. So the night before the game, they snuck into the stadium to dig holes. The plan was that these holes would cause injuries to the opponent, but it all backfired. Chacarita still lost the game and the title. I don't know if it's an Argentinian thing, but in 1960, another Argentinian tried to physically hurt his opponents to give himself an edge. Carlos Bilardo would stick needles in his boot so he could hurt the opponents. Bro retired as a footballer, became Argentina's head coach, and still came up with another way to hurt the opponents. He advised the players to use heat bomb on their opponents' faces during the game. And guess what? It worked. He won Argentina the World Cup. And you know what is worse than Carlos Bilardo's shady tactics? Watching this video and not subscribing to this channel. What are you doing? Smash that subscribe button. Back to the video. If you think Carlos Bilardo is shady, wait until you hear how the next manager got his team the win. Rangers former coach Graham Souness. Rangers previously lost an away game 1-0 and now had to win the second leg at home to keep themselves in the competition. Graham Souness knew his team couldn't match the opponents technically or by pure skill. But when it came to physicality, they had the upper hand. So, he had the pitch reduced in size a day to the second leg. They did this by getting rid of the white lines and drawing a new one, but this time closer in the pitch to make the whole play smaller. Now there was less space to spread the play and more opportunities for physical contact. This strategy worked as the Rangers won the game 2-0 and advanced to the next round. It was after this that it became compulsory for all teams to submit their pitch measurements before the start of every season. Fast forward to 1986, it was one of the best players in the world who was getting his hands dirty, and I mean literally. World Cup, Argentina vs England. Diego Maradona was determined to win. I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Hand, World Cup, Maradona. You already know, the famous Hand of God goal. A long cross into England's box. Maradona was there. He knew he couldn't jump high enough, but where his legs or head couldn't reach, his hand could.
Away from Hoddle then. Maradona, smoked and Maradona!
With his hands, he forced the ball into the net and secured the win for Argentina. Now, in the 2000s, players had gotten a lot smarter and I must say devious. In the 2002 World Cup, Rivaldo took diving to a whole new level. Brazil vs Turkey. Brazil won themselves a corner kick. Rivaldo went to the spot to take it, but the ball wasn't there. A Turkish player passed the ball to Rivaldo. The ball hit Rivaldo and he did this. The ref handed the player a red card. Brazil went on to win the game, 2-1. and the entire competition. But it wasn't all smiles and celebration for Rivaldo, because his actions soon caught up with him, as he was fined $5,000 for what he did. But in 2006, Juventus were the ones getting punished, and not just them. A couple of other Serie A teams got their fair share of the cake. The Calciopoli scandal. This scandal involved Juventus and a couple of other Serie A teams found guilty of selecting favorable referees for their games. When the matter got exposed, Juventus were stripped of 2 of their league titles and demoted to Serie B. Other teams like AC Milan, Fiorentina, and Lazio got punishment like point reduction and their Champions League spot being taken away. But what Juventus got was way worse. They not only lost their Serie A spot, but also lost many key players like Zlatan and Fabio Cannavaro. But on the bright side, they bounced back and by next season were able to fight their way back to the main league. Unlike Ghana, that was completely knocked out of the World Cup and had to wait another 4 years for another chance. 2010 World Cup, Ghana versus Uruguay. Both teams were tied at the end of 90 minutes and the game went to extra time. Right before extra time was over, Ghana launched an attack that looked like it would give them the last-minute victory. But this happened.
What a finish to the match. We saw the handball and
Suarez got a red card. Ghana was awarded a penalty, and guess what? They missed it. The game went into penalties, and once again Ghana lost. For Uruguay, Suarez was the man for the moment. For Ghana, he was enemy number 1. And he wasn't just Ghana's number 1 enemy, but Africa's. And speaking of Africa, how about I end the video with the crazy thing that went down over right before the 2022 World Cup. Egypt and Senegal were fighting for Africa's last spot in the World Cup. At the end of 90 minutes, the game was tied. Extra time came and none of these countries could steal the win. The game went into penalties, and this is where things got interesting. Salah stepped up to take the penalty for Egypt, and Senegal fans took it upon themselves to make sure he missed. I guess they didn't trust the goalie. They pointed lasers at Salah, hoping to mess up his vision and force him to lose the penalty. At first, it looked ridiculous. I mean, it's gonna take more than lasers to make one of the best attackers in the world miss such a crucial penalty. But turns out their plan worked. Salah missed the penalty. Maine stepped up to finish the job Senegal fans started. And of course, no lasers this time. Maine scored and sent Senegal to the World Cup, and that's where we stop for today. Of course, there are other instances of players or teams cheating, and I want you to type any you know of in the comments.